Ducktales 2017 is Disney Channel's newest animated cartoon, which is a reboot of the original 1987 cartoon. First season just wrapped up like a week ago, and I'm here to review it. And honestly, it's kinda better than the original. Let me explain. I know I just pissed a lot of people off because DuckTales is arguably one of Disney's most popular properties, but really only for two reasons. One, Uncle Scrooge, and two, the theme song. Yes, the original DuckTales is a great cartoon and still holds up today, but when you compare it to the reboot, and everything the reboot did just in one season of 23 episodes, it kinda doesn't compare. Let me just give my overall thoughts on the reboot. Reboot is beautiful, it is cleverly written, it is an amazing ongoing story with some, shenanigans brought in. It has a very satisfying conclusion. Now, the original doesn't really have a story, an ongoing story. Sure, it does have story arcs, but not a story that ties into almost every episode that ends up at the end. And that's what this reboot does. This reboot is more story-based, and I like that more than just the original. And I would say that the original is character-based, but honestly, it's not really either. Alright, let's compare the two, and let me explain why the reboot is surprisingly better than the original. When you're talking about DuckTales, the characters are absolutely classic. From the most classic character from DuckTales, Scrooge McDuck. And in this show, he is played by David Tennant because Alan Young was sadly passed away, and David does a really good job. Then you have Donald Duck, who I think is played by the same person that's been playing him since the beginning. Then you have Webby, who is pretty much a complete overhaul of the original Webby, and is so much better. Same with Mrs. Beakley, and she has more character to her that makes her much more interesting, and also does explain Webby's Mabel-like personality. And then you have Launchpad, who is pretty much the exact same as the original, but he has this new fondness for Darkwing Duck. Makes one of the best episodes of the series. And now we have undeniably the best part about all these characters, the triplets. Because when you look at the original, name one defining difference between them other than their colors. Exactly, there is none. In this show, they all have their have a different character. Dewey is more adventurous, Huey is more by the books, and Louie is just lazy and greedy. And it's much more interesting and shows how much care these people put into this reboot. Yes, there is a lot of more filler episodes where they're just doing random shenanigans, but there is a kind of ongoing plot that weaves in almost every episode. There's the plot of trying to find what happened to the triplets' mother. Every episode goes by, you normally learn something. If it was that it wasn't an actual spear, or there was maybe some kind of tension, or maybe that there is no way to find out. Every episode leads into that in some way. And by the end, it has a strong conclusion that really makes you think about these other characters. And honestly, it kind of leaves you confused and wondering who's really right.
I can't do this alone, even though I am strong. Need something more than me, someone to push me.
I know a lot of people really dislike this new art style, but I absolutely adore it. I was never really a huge fan of that older art style, so having this new one, I thought it was amazing, especially with the comic book aspect to it. I think it just looks beautiful, and it's just so fluid, and it looks so nice, and I do kind of prefer it over the original, even though the original was pretty good. And then there comes to the music. It's amazing, but that's not what everyone is thinking about when you're talking about the music. Did they keep the original theme? Hell yeah, they did. I would have honestly been shocked if they didn't, but they did keep it, pretty much the entire same lyrics. They changed the vocals, and I love it. I actually think the original is still better, just of how iconic it is, but what they did with the new one is great. And I honestly love it, and it's one of those themes I just cannot skip during the episodes.
Someone to push me to victory. Let's see what we can do together, me and you. Can't be up.
The season finale. From episode 1, you can tell there was something off with Scrooge. And in the second to last episode, you finally find out. All these questions that you had are finally answered. What was wrong with Scrooge's money bin? What was the conflict between Scrooge and Donald? You finally figure all it out, and it's dark, especially for a kids show. At first, you kind of reason with the kids, but then you see Scrooge start to sulk, and you see what actually happened, and it kind of just hits you. This was what this show was building up to from the very beginning, and it paid off so well. And then there's Magica kind of stuff. She comes, and it's pretty much Gravity Falls with Mageddon. Something else similar with Gravity Falls in this show is there was a secret in Gravity Falls from episode 1, and just like with this. So you can tell this show was surprisingly based off of Gravity Falls in a way. Magica comes, she pretty much becomes Bill Cipher, and you have the greatest crossover. The most ambitious crossover of all time. You got all of the characters coming in a fighter, Infinity War style, and it's awesome. And seeing everyone make up, you see Scrooge having his fight with Magica, it was amazing. And I feel like the season finale, I feel like the last 2 episodes are probably the best episodes in the entire first season.
Together we can show the world what we can do. You are next to me and I'm next to you. Push me on through until the battle's won.
Overall, this is Disney's second best cartoon. I don't think it beats Gravity Falls, but it comes real damn close. It is better than the original, although it had a lot to top, and it worked so well. The combination of a kind of ongoing plot, more diverse characters, and some of the best animation I've ever seen, it just tops the original. I do think the original does some things better, but in 23 episodes, it took the original show and the comics, combined them together, and made the best modern cartoon, save for Gravity Falls. Alright then, I think that's it for me. I was blankisfornerds, other known as Blank, but you can call me TK, and I wonder what's next. I'll see you nerds next time. Bye bye.
Stay so ないイメージも染めたぎこちない
7